Hey guys, welcome out to the range. Today I wanted to show you something that I've been doing for quite some time and never really thought about it until someone made a comment here on YouTube about why I was dry firing loaded. And what I do is what I call dry point rather than dry fire. And it isn't really dry fire because the weapon is actually loaded as I'm doing the drill. This is a chambered weapon and fully loaded. And what I do is I point at the target and I practice going to the threshold every time, going to the threshold. Let me show you. I'm at 5 yards from this target, 5 yards this way, the targets are 5 yards apart, and my two shooting positions are 5 yards apart. Because right now I'm doing the dry fire portion of getting ready to run some drills. So what I do is, with a loaded chambered weapon, I'm at the ready position, and I point, and I go to the threshold every time on the trigger. And because this has a ZEV V4 connector, there isn't much threshold. Basically from front to back, it's just a smooth trigger pull. There is almost no differentiation between the front of the trigger pull and the rear of the trigger pull and the brake. So what I'm practicing doing is, I go to the threshold and I stop. To the threshold and I stop. And the reason I do this is, for every several, 5, 6, 7, whatever, thresholds that I do, I will end up pulling the trigger. Right now I'm working off of 3x5 cards that are spray painted on these targets, because lately I've gotten really messy with my trigger pulling, and I've got to get back to being centered, finding the dot, and there's a central hit right there. So finding the dot and getting a clean central hit on the target. So the best way to do that is dry fire, dry fire, dry fire. And actually, here's the other point that needs to be made is this. The reason I don't want to do dry fire is, okay, well, all right, I'll tell the story. Well, I'll finish the thought. The reason I don't want to do dry fire is the last thing I want to get accustomed to doing is drawing, pointing, and pulling that trigger all the way through. I don't want to be accustomed to that, because then the default position is pull through each and every time. Excuse me. And when I was a cop many years ago, a friend came over to the house to just hang out with me and have dinner. He was done with his shift, so he strips out of his, he takes all of his belt keepers off, takes off his duty belt, clips it together. Yeah, this is back when duty belts were actually being worn. And he pulls out his sidearm, because I had little children at the time. I didn't really care because my children were growing up with guns, so they had no curiosity with guns, but whatever. So he takes the gun out, he pulls out the mag, he strips out the round, points it in a safe direction, pulls the trigger, and I was like, ugh, you need to stop doing that. He goes, well, I pointed in a safe direction. I said, actually, no, you didn't. You pointed at my floor, and there are 2 other floors beneath me with people, with children. I said, but you also need to get out of the practice of the action always being pulling the trigger. Now back then, this is how long ago this was, back then Glock still came in tactical Tupperware. And you literally could not put a Glock into its box until you actually pulled the trigger. So he was already accustomed to doing that because of that. I have always been of the mindset that you don't get in the practice of pulling the trigger on your gun, because in so doing you are defaulting to gun comes out, trigger gets pulled. I prefer to go to the threshold, and the practice of going to the threshold and realizing something has changed and backing off is a better practice in my estimation to be in. This is why I do this drill. So it's dry point rather than dry fire. I begin from the ready position, which is here. Feet very, very far apart, and I'm actually what you can't see is I'm actually on the balls of the feet. So instead of being firmly planted flat, I'm actually tilted ever so slightly forward. Both feet are on the balls of the feet. So I'm actually already sprung, ready to move if I need to. Not to mention, before doing any of this, I did a lot of stretching out, because you don't want to be potentially damaging tendons, that kind of thing. And it's very cold out here. So I'm stretched out. I've got my sidearm directly underneath my left eye, which is my I hate using the word strong and weak, so my lead side, well, I could say my strong side and my support side. So it's underneath my strong side eye. And what I do is I bring the gun out, find that dot, bring it back. Bring the gun out, find that dot, bring it back. And at any point in this, if I should choose to fire a round or accidentally fire a round, I need to see a shot going pretty much dead center of that 3x5 card. And if not, then I had no business pulling that trigger, or pulling back on that trigger. Lost it there. Well, close to the first hit. Nothing focuses your hands more. Yeah, it's going a little close to the edge. Nothing focuses your hands more than having a live loaded weapon in your hands. Ooh, couldn't even find the dot on that. Alright, so you get the point. You're focused on that 3x5 card. I'm a lefty, so as you see, my shots are migrating that way, which is the whole point of what I was saying earlier. But they're still inside that 3x5 card. So at 5 yards, I am already much further than most private citizen shootings occur anyways, because most private citizen shootings occur at basically from me to you, which is double arm's length. I do these things, and I've done them for so long, and I don't even think about it until somebody makes a comment in the comment section, and I realize I need to clarify that point, which is what this video is about. As always, I thank you guys for watching this video. I thank you guys for supporting me at tier1citizen.com with your purchases and donations. As always, God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.